right, so we're in here. The Stock Exchange, of course, and this is Trump and the GE. This is Sean Diddy Combs, held without bail amid sex trafficking case. So we know that Mr. Combs has had some legal problems recently. I know he's been sued a couple times by some of his artists, sued by his former girlfriend. I think he settled with her, Cassie. He was sued by Lil Rod for certain allegations of racketeering and so on and so forth. The feds also raided his home several months ago. What they found, we're not quite sure, but some of the evidence is coming out now. They've maybe found some lotion and some other items. But he was indicted today by the U.S. Department of Justice, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, for racketeering and sex trafficking charges and transportation related to prostitution. So apparently he has been having parties with, they call them free calls, with underage girls, or not underage girls, with women over the years, and which constitutes sex trafficking and prostitution and transportation pursuant to prostitution. And I think he offered a $50 million bail. He pleaded not guilty. He offered $50 million bail, which seemed like a lot of money. But apparently he was not offered bail. And this is a letter from the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York to the Honorable Robin F. Tarnofsky, the U.S. Magistrate Judge. And it says here, Dear Judge Tarnofsky, the defendant Sean Combs, a.k.a. Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, was taken into custody this morning after a grand jury sitting in this district returned a 3-count indictment charging him with crimes related to his decades-long pattern of physical and sexual violence against multiple victims and his use of force, threats, and coercion to enact his will, protect his reputation, and fulfill his sexual desires. The government respectfully submits this letter in anticipation of the defendant's appearance before this court later today, and in support of the government request for the defendant's detention of pending trial. So they're asking for his detention pending trial. As set forth below, there is no condition or combination of conditions that will reasonably assure the appearance of the defendant as required and the safety of others and the community, not to mention the integrity of the proceedings. As reflected by the gravity of the charges in the indictment, the defendant is dangerous and poses an ongoing threat to the safety of the community. So they're saying that he's dangerous and a threat to the safety of the community, which is a threshold it appears that the U.S. Attorney's Office has to meet, okay, to warrant detention. If released, he remains a serious risk of flight despite the conditions offered by his counsel. So he also thinks it's a flight risk. Most glaringly, the defendant also poses a significant risk of obstructing justice. Indeed, and as set forth below, during the course of the charged conduct, the defendant has attempted to bribe security staff and threaten and interfere with witnesses to his criminal conduct. He has also tried to obstruct the government's investigation of this case, repeatedly contacting victims and witnesses and feeding them false narratives of events as described in detail below. There are simply no conditions that would ensure that the defendant's efforts to obstruct and tamper with witnesses will stop. The defendant, therefore, cannot overcome the statutory presumption in favor of detention, and the court should order him detained. They think he's a flight risk, a danger to the community, and they think he will obstruct justice, which he has done in the past, trying to bribe security staff and threatening witnesses. So that's what the U.S. Attorney's Office recommended, and the judge denied bail. So he could be, he may be able to appeal that, I'm not sure. So he could potentially be detained until trial, which I think is a serious blow to Mr. Combs. So that's Trump and G. Thank you. Thank you for listening.